Hi, it's Ray, Chubby Ray Comics. I don't buy single issues. I got trade paperbacks and Omnibus. I love collected editions. I love talking about them, and I love talking about them to you. I thank you for watching this video. Today, I'm going to do another wish list. I love my wish list. I did a Marvel wish list the other day where I talked about the Marvel books that I hope would be turned into some form of collected edition. So today, I'm doing DC Comics. That's right, DC Comics. What books do I want to see from DC Comics get turned into some type of collected editions? When we talking about omnibuses, when we talking about compendiums, we talking about DC Finest, you name it, I'm talking about it all. But I'm giving you a top 10 list. And because it's me, we'll start with honorable mention because that's how I roll. Let's start with an honorable mention. How about Firestorm, DC Finest? That's right, Firestorm. The hero from the 1970s, flashed onto the 70s as a new hero created by DC that was going to be big, and he joined the JLA and he was going to be huge, and then he was there for a while and then slowly started disappearing, and now we hardly ever see him. He did show up in Doomsday Clock, which was cool, but we haven't seen much of Firestorm throughout the years. I'd love to do a DC Finest, though, to kind of relive that stuff that happened in the 70s. I think it'd be cool. The next honorable mention, because it's so hard to find, you can't even get the trade paperbacks of this. And trust me, I've looked for the trade paperbacks of this hero and I can't even find them, or they're too expensive to even think about buying. And that's Red Robin. Tim Drake, when he changed his name to Red Robin, because Damian Wayne was around, so he wasn't sure if he was Robin or... This was right after the Battle for the Cowl stuff. But I'd love to see it, a Red Robin omnibus starring Tim Drake. By the way, this is not the first time that Tim Drake's going to be mentioned in this list. Another honorable mention. This one almost made the list, but it barely squeaked out of it. And that's Aquaman. Aquaman, the Rebirth era. This is the Abnett era of Aquaman. This is some good stuff. The Drowning was great. You had Black Manta Rising. These are some of the paperbacks from this era. You had Crown of Atlantis, which was great. And then the Beard showed up for Underworld. It was during the Rebirth era. I'd love to see this be turned into an omnibus. Aquaman omnibus from the Rebirth era. Oh, let's give one more honorable mention, which is one of my favorite writers. He's known mostly for writing one of the best Batman stories of all time. Remember, he wrote this Batman story. You might have heard of it, Under the Red Hood. And he did it fantastic. He's a great writer. His name is Judd Winnick. And he also took over Green Arrow. This was after Kevin Smith and Brad Meltzer did Green Arrow. Judd Winnick did it. And Judd Winnick's Green Arrow stuff was really good. This was a Road to Jericho paperback. It's pretty good. Till Death Do They Part. It was the wedding of Green Arrow and Black Canary. So an omnibus of all this stuff would be pretty cool. Judd Winnick's Green Arrow, it would make for a great omnibus. Let's get into the list. At number 10, you know, we've got a lot of Batman with DC. They seem to make everything Batman into an omnibus. However, there's some stuff they haven't, some stuff that's really good that have never been turned into an omnibus. And I'll show you some of it. Ed Brubaker's Batman run. Ed Brubaker had a great run on Batman. Some of the greatest Batman stories of all time. Art by Scott McDaniel. I know Scott McDaniel isn't everyone's cup of tea, but it would still be a fantastic omnibus. I'm putting it at number 10 on my list for DC Comics collected editions. Number 9. I loved the Titans Rebirth era. I especially loved The Return of Wally West. I think it's because I love the Rebirth book so much that Jeff Johns wrote. It was the Rebirth. It was kind of the start to the whole Doomsday Clock thing. But Wally West comes back. No one remembers who he is. And he tries to team up with the Titans again, and they don't remember him. This was written by Dan Abnett. Art by Brett Booth was fantastic. I mean, this was really a great series. I was a huge fan of this series. It was Made in Manhattan. There was a Judas Among Us and Titans Apart. That Rebirth Titans run was a very good run. I'd love to see it be turned into an omnibus. And you know, DC started to do some Titans omnibuses. They're putting out a Tom Taylor Titans next year. So it'd be really nice to see them go back and do the Rebirth era of Titans. I'd like to see it. That's number 9 on my DC collected editions list. As you guys know, if you've watched my videos, I'm a gigantic fan of Legion of Superheroes. So you know there's going to be a lot of Legion mentions in this list. It was called Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes when it first came out. And they eventually dropped Superboy from it. They were simply called the Legion of Superheroes. This was the era that started around issue 240 or so. This is the era that included the Great Darkness Saga and The Choice, which have both been oversized deluxe editions. I'd love to see it all in an omnibus. Give me a Legion of Superheroes by Paul Levitz omnibus. That would be great. These are great, memorable heroes, great villains like the Fatal Five, and all kinds of awesome action. I'm a huge mark for the Legion of Superheroes. I would love to see these issues and the Great Darkness Saga all in an omnibus. Come on, DC, give me this collected edition. Number 7. There was nothing better when I was a kid than when the Justice League of America would team up with the Justice Society of America. Those JLA and JSA crossovers were awesome. They would always happen once a year. There were always big crossovers that had to go with JLA from Earth 1 going to Earth 2 to meet up with the JSA, or the JSA going from Earth 2 to Earth 1 to meet up with the JLA. I would love to see the JLA and JSA crossovers compendium. Come on, DC. This is something that would be really, really cool. Give me some of those great crossover stories. Put it in one gigantic compendium. Make it JLA and JSA crossovers. The stories Earth 1 and Earth 2, those were the days, man. They were a lot of fun, and it would be fun to see that Bronze Age crossover stuff collected in one compendium. That's number 7. Number 6, another Rebirth era book. Can you guys tell I really enjoyed the Rebirth era? Benjamin Percy's Green Arrow. It was fantastic. This started with the death and life of Oliver Queen. This is when the Rebirth era kicked off. He didn't know who Black Canary was. The Benjamin Percy stories are fantastic. You've got Island of Scars. You've got Emerald Outlaw. The Rise of Star City. Hard-traveling heroes guest starring the Justice League. And Trial of Two Cities. This was a great run by Benjamin Percy. They were great issues of Green Arrow. I would love to see it put into one big omnibus. Come on, DC, give it to me. That's number 6. Number 5, we're going back to the Legion of Superheroes. The Paul Levitz, Keith Giffen started Legion of Superheroes, which eventually had Steve Lytle as an artist with Paul Levitz, but it was all Paul Levitz written Legion, and it was on Baxter paper. A little history lesson. The Legion of Superheroes and the New Teen Titans were the first books that were sold exclusively in comic book stores. They weren't printed on the regular paper. They were printed on something called Baxter paper, which is why people refer to the Legion of Superheroes by Paul Levitz as the Baxter series. This starts with a shocking death of one of the Legion of Superheroes' biggest characters. They battle the Legion of Supervillains. It's really, really good books. It was the Baxter series, written by Paul Levitz, drawn by Keith Giffen, Steve Lytle, and many artists like that. And it also included, right around the time Crisis of Infinite Earths came out, the Legion of Superheroes had to do something with Superboy, because Superboy was part of the Legion of Superheroes. But they were changing history with the whole Crisis story, so that meant Superboy couldn't exist. And how they got rid of him was, to this day, one of the most interesting and one of the best stories I ever read. It's so good. It's so fantastic. I would love to see it in omnibus form. That's number 5. Come on, DC. Give me that collected edition Legion of Superheroes Baxter series in omnibus. Number 4. Are you ready? I know a lot of people want this. I'm certainly not the only one. DC Comics loves to put out Green Lantern omnibuses. They've done it with all 3 volumes of Jeff Johns, Hal Jordan stuff. They're now even doing 2 volumes of Robert Venditti's Hal Jordan stuff. But how about DC Comics puts out a Green Lantern omnibus starring Kyle Rayner? They put out this compendium. It's been successful. People love this compendium. Let's get it in oversized omnibus form. I would love to read this stuff in an omnibus. During the death of Superman, Coast City was destroyed. That was Hal Jordan's hometown. and he went nuts and he turned evil. And so the Green Lantern needed a new hero, and the Guardians sent out the ring and they found Kyle Rayner. It's all detailed in this compendium and it's great stories. I would love, love, love to see it turned into an omnibus. DC, give me Kyle Rayner omnibus. I'd love to see it, and I know I'm not the only one. That's number 4 on my collected editions wish list. Number 3, this compendium is fantastic. People love this compendium. It's Tim Drake Robin. A lot of this takes place after A Lonely Place of Dying, when Tim Drake decides he's going to become Robin, and Batman allows him to become Robin. These are the stories that started in Batman and Detective Comics and then eventually led to the Robin miniseries and the Robin series. Mostly done by Chuck Dixon. They're great stories. It's great art. People love this compendium. They love it. How about we get volume 2 of the Robin compendium? Come on, DC. It seems like a pretty easy ask. We've already got the Chuck Dixon written miniseries. Let's get into some of those Robin series. You know, the Bill Willingham written stuff. Let me see that happen in Robin Compendium 2. Or, if you want, DC, you can skip the whole compendiums and just give us a Tim Drake omnibus. Trust me, we all want it. But how about starting with Volume 2 of the Tim Drake compendium? Come on, DC. That's number 3 on my collected editions wish list for DC. Are we ready for number 2? Are we ready? I said earlier, there's a lot of Batman stuff out there, but this one isn't out there, and it should be, because it's great stuff. Also, it lines up perfectly between the Nightfall, Night Quest, Night's End stuff and the Road to No Man's Land. Batman Contagion and Batman Legacy. Legacy is hard to find and it's expensive. I've got volume 1, but I've been looking for volume 2 for years and haven't been able to find it. And Contagion, if you haven't read it, is a fantastic story. And it's perfect leading into Road to No Man's Land. It's even worth looking at some of that horrible Kelly Jones art. I'm not a fan. This omnibus would be fantastic. Give me Contagion and Legacy in an omnibus, DC. Give us something leading up to Road to No Man's Land. It would be great. That's number 2 on my wish list for DC collected editions. And now, number 1. Number 1, you knew it was coming. It's Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes Bronze Age book. Starting with Superboy issue 197, Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes. This is stuff with art by Dave Cockrum and Mike Grell. This is some of the best art you've ever seen. I love this stuff. James Sherman was the other artist who did a lot of this stuff. Every once in a while on a Superboy comic, it would change to Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes. And then right around 200, it became, the book itself was called Superboy and the Legion and just became a Legion of Superheroes book. And that ran around issue 197 all the way up to around 240. That's a great amount for a big omnibus. Give us a Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes Bronze Age. I would love that, DC. In fact, you can also give us a Supergirl in the Legion done by Mark Waid. Mark Waid did some great Legion runs. Probably should have put him on the list too. But anyway, my number 1 is Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes, including this story, The Wedding of Saturn Girl and Lightning Lad, drawn by Mike Grell. This stuff's amazing. It's great writing by Paul Levitz, and it's the Bronze Age Legion of Superheroes. I would love to get this. DC Comics, there you go. My collected editions wish list. I'm sorry it's so Legion heavy, but I'm a Legion fanatic. I loved doing this list. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it as much as I loved giving it to you. I'm Chubby Ray. These are the collected editions I want, DC. Give them to us. Come on. Like, follow, comment on this video. I love when you guys make comments. You're probably asking, Ray, why is there no Superman on your list? Well, listen, Superman just had a movie that made a ton of money for DC, so I'm pretty sure they're going to be putting out Superman omnibuses in the near future for a while. I hope you guys liked this video. I sure had a blast making it. This is Chubby Ray. So long, everybody.